Greetings, RC model geeks, and here we are in the shed yet again for part 5 of the Sarik Hobbies de Havilland, Canada Chipmunk build. Got it right. So it's the fuselage. Here it is. Yeah, right. So first things first. Now the fuselage is built in 2 halves, and then they're glued together. So you build a top half and a bottom half, sandwich 2 together. So we build each half separately over the plan, and that's it. Simple. So the first thing that needs to be done is there is a what they call the crutch, which is basically some flat strip that runs all the way along each side of the fuselage. Now, originally one would presume this was balsa. It's like 3/8 by an 1/8, and that is not supplied in the plan pack. What they supply instead is spruce, 3/8 by 1/4. Now I've looked on the wing, which is the only other part to make, and it isn't used on there, so one must presume it's for the crutch or the crotch. There's only one problem with that: there ain't enough of it. It's a little bit short. We're probably two inches short on each length, maybe a little bit more actually. Yeah, we've got enough to do one fuselage part, so either the top or the bottom, but we haven't got enough to do both of them. So I've had to order some more of this spruce, and I've also ordered a few more bits of wood and stuff as well, yeah, just in case. So yeah, now of course, because this is spruce, this is a bit harder, and it's harder to sand, which is a shame, because you've got to sand a taper on this bit along here. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do first. I'm going to cut these up, get them the right shape. You've got to do a splice halfway along the fuselage here, because it goes at an angle. So I think I'm just going to get on with that. I'm going to cut this and then taper this. Yeah, and then see where we where we end up. Okay, so this is going to be a slow day today, I'm sure, but here are the 2 crutches. Spliced together. Don't know how well you can see that, but there's one splice, beautiful, and there is the other splice. You'd hardly see the join at all there. Lovely, nice and strong. So these go down on the building board. Now when I made these, I always, because you've got to cut 2 like angles. Yeah, you can see there's an angle there, an angle there, and then join the 2 together. Now when I cut them, I make sure I've got a little bit left over at the ends, just in case of errors in my cut of angle or stuff like that. If I've got a little bit left over, I can tweak it in. Yeah, if you cut the exact length and cut that slightly wrong, then you're not going to have any material to play with, and your piece is scrap. So I always make sure I've got a little bit left over at the ends, so I can just tweak it around, then I'll just chop them off. Once I know this is right, you know, my angles are right, I can just trim the ends off. Bob's your uncle. Saves you writing off a complete length of wood. So that is all good. So we've got our parts here. They're pretty perfect. They're glued together. They're sanded. So the next thing, by the looks of it, is we've got to find some formers. So we've got to build some formers up on this. Now I haven't decided whether to do the top half or the bottom half yet. Yeah, I don't know, but we'll work on that. Yeah, I think we'll build the bottom half. We'll build the bottom half first. That is the best plan. So back with you when I found some formers, and we'll see how well this goes together. So I have all the formers here for the bottom of the fuselage. Bearing in mind we're making the bottom upside down. So I've sanded all of the little pips off from the laser cutting, and now I'm going to check with a bit of this spruce, which is what is used for those crotches, that the formers fit. Yeah, so what we're checking for here, if we can see it, is that the depth of this here is the same as the width of that piece of wood. Yeah, it's looking good so far, but you want to go through and check all of the formers for that situation, because everything's got to sit flat. If it doesn't, it's all going to come out pissed. So just go through and check every single one that the formers will fit that width of wood. Now, what else have we got? We've got a Balsa Doubler that goes down the side of the fuselage. Now, that isn't cut out for you. So we'll have to work out what that is and cut the shape. Now, looking at it, it's got the curve of the wing cut out in it as well. So we might have to find one of the ribs that sits at that position and lay that over. But when we come to that, I'll show you. Right. That came around quicker than I thought. So, as I was saying, there's a Balsa Doubler, and it's shown on the drawing here. You can see it's these side pieces here, there and there. Now, it says it's 1/8 sheet. So obviously we're going to have to cut that out of 1/8 sheet. Now, it's not rectangular. There's a cutout here for the wing. So we've got to incorporate that into the part that we're cutting out. Now, it's shown on the drawing in more detail here. It's a dotted line. If I move the drawing over there, there's a dotted line that comes down here, and then it runs along there till it gets to the wing, and it goes up round the wing, and then it goes straight across again up to this main firewall, which is there, and then it goes up and it basically sits on that piece of spruce that we made earlier and runs along. So that is the shape. So our only problem in making that, if we just put a ruler on here just to prove that the thing is really a rectangle, if we put a ruler on the lines, both those lines join up. So it's a rectangular piece of balsa, 1/8 of an inch thick, with a curve cut in it here for the wing. So what we will do is we will find that rib. Right, okay, that's that phone call over. That was the balsa cabin. Don't forget, balsa cabin are good as well. You can get loads of wood from balsa cabin. They're great for balsa. Ironically, that's why they're called the balsa cabin. Right, so as I'm saying, we've got to make this up. Now, I'm going to find the centre rib for the wing, and we'll use that as our template to cut the curve. Easy, innit, rather than trying to trace it off the drawing. So let me go and find that, and I'll find the sheet, and then we'll cut these out. Right, so I've cut out the basic shape of this doubler, which goes in there, and as you can see, I've drawn the shape of the cutout for the wing there, and I just basically used this wing rib as a template. So I marked the position on the plan first of all, where the front and the rear of this rib were going to sit, put the wood over there like that, making sure it's all lined up lovely jubbly, and then I just put the rib back on my alignment marks and draw around it, and there it is. So all I've got to do now is just cut that out, and we're laughing, and I've got to do it all again. So there you go, that is one done. Now let's just repeat again. So there it is. I'm really crap with a fret saw, but you know, it's close enough. The rest of it will sand. But yeah, every time I look at the vibrating saw, I just get double vision. I can't see where I'm cutting. Right, on with the second one. So there they are, two sides done. So I think now we can get the plan out on the bench and we can build the underneath, or start to build it anyway. Right, I've put my modeller's head back on properly, and I've been thinking about building this fuselage, and before I rush into it, there are certain things that I need to think about, because otherwise there's just going to be a pain in the arse later on. So the first of those was, well, we've got to mount a battery in this thing, and so we're going to need to modify some of the formers to allow a battery basically to slide into the front, yeah, up to basically the firewall. So I've modified this former here. This just had a round hole in it. This is F2, and I've basically elongated the hole up so that I can fit some kind of battery. This is a 5005S, I think this is. So, you know, we're allowing for whatever size battery to go in up to a sort of a 5000. so that's done. And then also the former behind that, F4, needed to be opened up a bit as well, so that, you know, we've got some clearance again for a battery. This is an old battery, by the way. This is the one that Colin burnt his hand on many years ago. Yeah, so I've modified those, so that's great. So at least we know a battery will slide in right into the front. That's wonderful. Now, the other thing is, all these formers at the back are solid. Like that. And like that. And like that. Now, obviously they've got to have a hole in them. They've got to have holes in them for the push rods, for the elevator and the rudder. So I really need to think about how I'm going to do that, how I'm going to drive the elevator and the rudder, what am I going to use. And I'm just quite tempted to just use piano push rods in a carbon fibre tube and run them down the fuselage to a servo or two servos somewhere, you know, in the centre of the fuselage. If that's the case, then I need to plot out, because we know where the horns and stuff are going on the elevator and the rudder, so I could actually plot on the drawing the positions of those push rods, and then actually drill these formers with the two holes for those two push rods and the sleeves fairly accurately. So I'm thinking that is what I've got to do before I start gluing lots of these bits together, and it turns into a nightmare. Yeah, and then also I'm thinking, well, I've got to sort a motor out. So I'll have to go and look at what sort of motor I'm going to put in there. Now, I've done a quick calculation. Now, this plane is 1/6 scale. So for like scale details, you know, it's like 1/6. So like it's 1/6 pilot and stuff like that. Anyway, so a scale prop size for this plane at 1/6 scale is 13.5 inches. So maybe we'll call it 14. We'll go for 14, shall we? Bigger the prop we can get on there, the better. So we've got to find a motor that will spin a 14-inch prop. And ideally it probably wants to be quite heavy as well, so we might over spec it slightly, so we get some weight up the front. Yeah, and I mean, you know, ideally I'd like to run like 4S, maybe 5, but I'd rather think I'd run 4S, something like a 4S 5000. So we've got to find a motor that will spin a 14-inch prop at roughly, I always tend to go for 15,000 RPM on a fully charged battery. Yeah, so I'll have to see what's available in Orby King, I think, for this one, because otherwise the costs are going to go mental on this plane. I've already ordered 2 lots of wood and other stuff for this, and costs are quickly mounting up. So yeah, I mean, I've got this motor here which is one of these prop drives. It's a 4248 650 kV. kV's a little bit low for 4S. Only gives me 10,000, just over 10,000 RPM, which is a little bit low, I think. So we can't use that. And the only other one I've got is a G60, and I think the G60 is even lower kV. I don't know where that is now, but yeah, so I don't think we'll be using that either, because that originally we put on Pete's Tornado, and you know, you need to swing a really big prop on that G60 because it's such a low kV. You know, it's really designed for like 16 inches or something. So yeah, so there'll be a motor to go and find as well, etc, etc, etc. So I think we will have to call it a day here, because like I said, I need to do some planning to work out where loads of holes and stuff have got to go. So yeah, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, please. The more subscribers, the better. Also, hit the bell icon if you want to receive notifications of when we actually put up a video. And don't forget, go and have a look at Sarik Hobbies and see what they've got on offer, because they've got hundreds and hundreds of plans and other things, planes, trains, boats, you name it. And I'll see you all in the next video, which might be tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how much I've got planned in this build. I've now received in my the covering for the plane. So I mean, I might finish off the tailplane and stuff, the tailplane and the horizontal stab and the vertical fin and the rudder and elevators and stuff, get them all sanded up, and then cover them, because at least they're protected then once they're covered. We'll see how it goes. Plus we're getting a real shitty storm coming in tonight and tomorrow, so that'll be fun as well. So that's it. See you all tomorrow, hopefully, for the next part of this build.
Thank you for watching Captain Rob's RC Model Geeks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button. If you want to see more of the same type of videos, don't forget you can subscribe. If you want to support us, you can use PayPal, paypal.me/RC Model Geeks. If you want to contact us, you can email us rcmodelgeeks@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.